Joining me now, the senior senator from New York, Senator Chuck Schumer. Thanks for joining me tonight, Senator.
Nice to be with you.
Senator, any progress today in the negotiations on a possible budget compromise?
No, I don't think there was too much progress. The bottom line is the Tea Party continues to pull at Speaker Boehner and say don't come to any compromise. Their positions continue to be extreme. And we know that H.R. 1 will not pass the Senate and the president would veto it. And so their solution just doesn't work and would lead to, if they stick with it, and if Boehner sticks with them, it'll lead to a government shutdown.
What is the Democratic Senate proposal on the budget compromise at this point?
Well, we've proposed something very reasonable. We've met them halfway. They want $60 billion in cuts below the president's number. We were happy to stick with the freeze at the president's number, but we're willing to meet him halfway. And today, Leader Reid said that we were willing to cut $30 billion. So we're trying to reach out and compromise and meet part of the way. And as I said before, I believe that Speaker Boehner would like to do that, but he's got a tiger by the tail, the Tea Party, who believes compromise is a dirty word.
Senator, there are many details in any version of a budget bill, including, for example, the defunding of Planned Parenthood. If that was in the House proposal, an insistence on complete defunding of Planned Parenthood, would you in the Senate be able to accept that?
No. There was some talk today about some riders being accepted by Leader Reid, but let's be clear, those would be the kinds of non-controversial riders we haven't heard about. The bottom line is that whether it's Planned Parenthood or EPA, we will not accept those riders, and any thought to the contrary is wrong. We believe that they don't belong in a budget bill. There can be a debate on these issues. We believe they'd be defeated in the Senate. But to try to get them part of this budget bill will just ruin the ability to come to a fair compromise and keep the government running.
Senator, the New York Times reported that you had a conference call with the press about this situation, and apparently the call was open sooner than you quite realized, and you were overheard, according to the New York Times, prepping the other senators for the call by saying, "I always use the word extreme. That is what the caucus has instructed me to use this week." Is that a true report of the way this call developed?
Yeah, and there's no news to it. I used the word extreme on the floor a few hours before. I've used the word extreme repeatedly. I have no problem that reporters heard me tell my colleagues on the phone that I've used the word extreme, and many of them have as well. Our caucus had a meeting a few weeks ago where we decided to call the H.R. 1 extreme, and it is extreme. For instance, cutting cancer research, I think that's extreme. How about cutting Meals on Wheels, which feeds homebound senior citizens while refusing to touch the oil companies? That's extreme. Cutting border security when there's a clamor to stop illegal immigration. That's extreme, and John Kyle has said that's a bad idea. And of course, these riders, defunding Planned Parenthood, are extreme, and Republicans like Susan Collins and Scott Brown have said that those are wrong to be in the bill. So yes, H.R. 1, the bill that the Tea Party sticks with and that they're not budging from, is extreme. And I've said it before. I said it on that call, and I'll say it again. That's not news, and I have no problem that reporters heard me say that.
Senator, before you go, I just want to get one question about the situation in Libya, your reaction to the president's speech. And have you been surprised by the amount of criticism the president has received in Washington, given that on March 1st you introduced a resolution in the Senate which passed unanimously, condemning Gaddafi's abuse of human rights and in Libya, and calling for a UN-enforced no-fly zone. That was voted for unanimously by the Senate.
I think the president has done two things that I think are well received by the American people. First, the mission is limited. It is to the air. It is to, first, humanitarian purposes, as the resolution called for, to prevent the massacre of hundreds of thousands of innocent Libyans in Benghazi. And second, to, of course, the second part of the mission, which I think Americans support, is from the air to disrupt Gaddafi's control and command and supply lines. But the second part of this that I think is really noteworthy, we are fighting 2 land wars in Asia. We have huge domestic needs. And the president, in a relatively short period of time, has brought others in to take a major share of the fighting. NATO is in charge. The British and French are out there. We even have Arab nations out there. And if this is a template for the future, that there has to be other nations of the world stepping up when there are humanitarian crises, and the president's done it and done it very well.
Senator Chuck Schumer, Democrat of New York, thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Thank you. Nice to talk to you, Larry.